So I have a question for you. Have you ever gone through a phase, maybe a week or even a month, where you just felt completely dried up? And I don't mean I'm tired or I need coffee. I mean, you sit down to do the thing you're usually good at.
Or like writing or coding or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. Or just being a charming human being. And there's just nothing there, like a complete creative desert.
Oh yeah, it's that feeling of running on empty, but and not physically empty. It's more like spiritually empty, like the spark plugs are just gone.
Exactly. But then on the flip side, you have those days where you are just a raw nerve. You're crying at car commercials. You're furious at the guy who cut you off in traffic, and you have this manic energy to paint your entire living room at 2 in the morning.
Yeah, the two extremes.
Right. It feels like two ends of a bipolar spectrum. But according to the research we're looking at today, those are actually symptoms of the exact same problem.
They are. Because if you talk to a medical doctor, they might talk about hormones or burnout. But if you talk to energy healers, and specifically the source we're diving into today, they'll point to a very specific spot in your lower abdomen and basically say, your internal plumbing is broken.
The internal plumbing. So today we are doing a deep dive into the second energy center, which is better known as the Sacral Chakra. We are pulling all of this from a really comprehensive guide by Reiki Amazes, which breaks down the mechanics of this energy center.
And it really is a detailed mechanical breakdown.
It is, and I want to be clear right up front for you listening. We aren't just reading a yoga pamphlet here. Our mission today is to understand the actual system. What is this chakra? Why does it supposedly control everything from our sex lives to our creativity? And how do we fix it when it goes completely off the rails?
It's a fascinating system because it really bridges that gap between the physical body and the emotional self.
Mhm.
This isn't just about good vibes. It's deeply rooted in fluids and functional anatomy.
Yeah, the theme of the day is orange. The element is water. And apparently the stakes are the very residents of our soul.
Right.
So let's just get into it. Can we start with the name? Because sacral chakra sounds a bit clinical, like a bone in my back.
Well, it does refer to the sacrum, yes.
Yeah.
That general area. But the traditional Sanskrit name gives us a much richer map of what's actually going on. It's called Swadhisthana.
Swadhisthana. Now, you broke this down for me before we started recording, and I think this is exactly where we need to start. Because the literal translation is kind of shocking.
It is. It's a compound word. Swa means soul. And Adhisthana means resides or abode.
Where the soul resides.
Correct. The abode of the soul.
Okay, I have to push back on this immediately. Because if you ask a random person on the street, or even most religious scholars, where's the soul? They're going to point to the heart, right?
Usually the heart.
Or maybe the pineal gland in the brain. The third eye. Who in their right mind points to the lower abdomen, basically the gut and the genitals, and says, yep, that's the holy seat of the soul?
Right. Very counterintuitive to the Western mind, for sure. We like to think of the soul as this lofty, airy thing that lives up in our head. But in this tradition, and actually in Taoism as well, the soul isn't just consciousness. It's vitality. It's the raw life force.
So it's the engine.
Exactly. Think about the physical location. The text places it above the pubic bone and below the navel. Taoists call this the hara, or the sea of energy.
Sea of energy.
Yeah, it's the physical center of gravity for the human body. If you're going to move, you move from the hips. If you're going to create life, it comes from the womb. So calling it the abode of the soul suggests that the soul is inextricably linked to creation and movement, not just thinking.
That distinction is really helpful. So we're not talking about the intellectual soul. We're talking about the I am alive and I want to do things soul.
Precisely. And that aligns perfectly with the visual symbolism our source describes. If you were to look at a traditional diagram of the Swadhisthana, you'd see a lotus flower with 6 petals.
And the color is very specific, right? It's not just orange.
Right, the text specifies vermilion. It's a very vivid reddish orange. And those 6 petals, by the way, represent vrittis, or modes of consciousness. But the really key detail is inside the lotus. There's a white crescent moon.
A moon, which immediately makes me think of the tides.
You are spot on, because the ruling element of this chakra is water. The moon controls the tides, and this chakra controls the fluids. In a metaphysical sense, water always equates to emotion and flow.
Okay, so we have this image, a vermilion lotus, a crescent moon sitting in a sea of energy right in our lower gut. It's the water chakra. Now, practically speaking, what is under its jurisdiction? If this is a department in the corporate structure of the human body, what is it managing?
It's managing the Department of Passion and Fluidity. Its portfolio includes unconscious emotions, creativity, passion, pleasure, and relationships.
That is basically all the fun stuff.
Yeah, it is the fun stuff, but it's also the messy stuff. It governs the reproductive organs, obviously.
Hmm.
But here's a connection from the guide I found really surprising. The source explicitly links this chakra to the sense of taste, specifically the tongue.
The tongue. I would have thought the tongue belongs to the throat chakra or something higher up. Why connect the tongue to the pelvis?
Think about the core function. Taste is a sensory pleasure. It's about consumption and enjoyment. There is a direct line between the appetite for food and the appetite for other things. It's all sensory intake.
Oh, that's true. We even use the exact same language for it. We talk about having a hunger for life or a thirst for someone.
Exactly. It's the absolute center of desire. But to really understand why this specific chakra matters so much, we have to look at how it relates to the one right below it, the root chakra, or Muladhara.
Yeah.
The source material makes a really crucial distinction here regarding karma.
Oh, right. The sanskaras. This part was a little dense for me. Can you unpack that relationship between the root and the sacral?
Sure. So sanskaras are basically your karmic impressions, your potential energy. The text says that in the root chakra, at the very base of the spine, these sanskaras lie completely dormant. They are asleep.
Okay. So the root chakra is like the hard drive where all the files are stored, but the computer is turned off.
That's a great analogy. Or think of it like a seed buried in the earth during winter. It contains the potential to be a tree, but it isn't a tree yet. It's just sitting there safe and grounded.
Right. So the root is the storage unit.
Yes. But the sacral chakra, the swadhisthana, is where those sanskaras actually find expression. It's where the seed breaks open and starts to sprout. It's where all that dormant potential wakes up and becomes an active personality, active desire, active creativity.
Wow. That makes the abode of the soul title make even more sense. You can have all the potential in the world stored safely in your root, but if your sacral chakra is blocked, that potential never actually comes out to play. You're just a walking hard drive with no monitor.
Exactly. It's the transition from being to doing, from safety to risk. Because expressing yourself, whether that's artistically or romantically, is always a risk. It requires flow.
And when that flow gets interrupted, that's when we have problems.
That's when we see the symptoms. And the source is very specific about diagnosing this. It doesn't just vaguely say you feel bad. It breaks it down into very specific physical and emotional alarm bells.
Let's start with the physical, because that's generally easier to spot. If my swadhisthana is out of whack, what is my body actually telling me?
Well, because of the physical location and the water element, you want to look at the plumbing. The text lists kidney issues, bladder problems, and basically anything involving bodily fluids. It also heavily mentions the large intestine and the lower back.
Lower back pain is such a common complaint. I feel like half the population has blocked sacral energy just based on our terrible office chairs.
There is absolutely a connection there. Stagnation in the hips leads to stagnation in the energy, but the personality symptoms are even more telling. And this is where it gets really interesting because the source splits the diagnosis into two distinct profiles, the overactive chakra and the underactive chakra.
I love these archetypes. It's almost like a personality quiz. Let's do the overactive one first. This is the person with too much energy in the sacral region. Who is this person?
This is the drama queen or the drama king. If the water element is flooding, if the banks have burst, you get someone who is overly emotional, overly dramatic, and really aggressive.
So no emotional regulation at all, just raw, unfiltered output.
Right. The text uses words like arrogant, manipulative, and ambitious, but in a very negative, destructive way. Emotionally, this person is completely consumed by hot feelings. Jealousy, envy, hatred. It's passion, but it's passion that is curdled into toxicity.
Yeah, I think we've all met that person, or honestly been that person on a bad day. It's that exact feeling of, I want everything right now, and I'm furiously angry that I don't have it.
Precisely. It's pure desire without any discipline. Now flip the coin. What happens when the chakra is underactive? When the water has completely dried up?
This is that stuck feeling we were talking about in the intro.
Yes. The source describes this person as antisocial, unenthusiastic about life, and suffering from deep low self-esteem.
Unenthusiastic about life. Man, that hits hard. That's just depression.
It is. It's a total lack of the creative spark. The text also mentions a very specific fear of change. If water is meant to flow, this person is a stagnant pond. They're terrified of movement, terrified of taking any risk. They're incredibly indecisive because they literally have no gut feeling to guide them anymore.
So on one hand, you have a massive tsunami of drama. On the other, you have a dried up puddle of sadness. Neither is great. We want a nice flowing river.
We want the stream.
So how do we get the stream back? The guide from Reiki Amazes provides a toolkit. And looking at this list, it ranges from the very practical to the very out there.
Oh, it covers the whole spectrum. Food, smell, crystals, movement, sound.
Let's start with food. Because I'm looking at the list from